Hello, everybody. This is Andy back with you with another video this week. And I just want to connect and talk about this important question. Every people who invest with Novatech, you hear time and again the concept of compounding interest. And I wanted to take a few minutes, just kind of dive into it and discuss it with you and do a little quick demonstration and just to explain what compounding is, because this is a recurrent feature and we want to just make sure we give out the appropriate education information for people out there to understand what it is. All right. So one of the greatest mind of our time, or of the last century, I should say, still our era, and it's Mr. Albert Einstein. And he said, compounding interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it, and he who doesn't pays it. And it's deeply profound because this concept of compound interest is the one concept that banks use when you invest your money. And if you get any type of loans, your loan is the loan amount is capitalizing at a certain rate over a certain period of time, right? And the longer it takes, the more you pay. And that's why it's always important. And you pay mostly interest first for the first few years before you start paying the principal. That's why loans are so expensive. And it works on the flip side. If you're an investor and you use the principal to invest on a different in a different vehicle, over a certain number of time or period, or they at a certain rate, your principal grows. Now, so the interest generated are basically your payment. That's the return on your investment as the investor. So today I'm just going to establish a quick difference what we find with the concept of interest, and separate the term of compound interest to the term of simple interest. And for that, I found very interesting chart online, which I'm going to use today to kind of illustrate to the point what we're discussing. So first of all, let's make a difference between simple and compound interest, right? And as the chart shows, a simple interest can simply be defined as the sum paid back for using the borrowed money over a fixed period of time, right? And here they're using it from the perspective of the borrower. We like to use the same context from the perspective of the investor. So as an investor, the simple interest is the interest, the money paid back to me on my principal, which I invested over a fixed period of time. And the formula for that is very simple, straightforward. Simple interest is the multiplication of the principal by the time, by the interest rate, which is the R in the formula. On the flip side, compound interest is defined as the sum of principal amount exceed the due date for the payment, along with the rate of interest for a period of time. So let's unpack that very quickly. So the difference between a simple interest is that you have a principal that yields an interest, and that interest is calculated on the beginning principal over a given period of time. Compound interest, on the other hand, is compounding. Your interest is generated from the principal, but this interest is being recapitalized. It's being brought back into the initial principal over a limited period of time, so that for every new period, not only you have the original principal, but you also have the interest which was generated over the time period, which is built up on the original principal. So your principal grows, and the new period's interest, or the interest calculated for the new period, is calculated on the original principal plus the interest generated during the previous period of time. So if you're investing over a longer period of time, let's say you're investing over a yearly period, right, with monthly capitalization or weekly capitalizations or compounding weekly, compounding monthly. So for every week or every month, depending on the time frame of the compounding period, right? So you not only have the original principal, but you also have the interest that were generated during that period, which now becomes the new principal. And so therefore, over time, you have a faster growth with the compounding effect. Um, and if you, when you compare that with the simple interest, you have some sort of growth, but it is a very slow growth, right? So and the chart says the return is much lesser when you compare the simple interest to the compound interest. The principal on the simple interest is constant, like we explained. It's the same principle that goes over the entire period of time. Whereas for the compounding interest, the principal amount keeps on varying during the entire borrowing period because of those regular compounding schedules or capitalization schedules, right? So the growth remains quite uniform in this method. So you have some growth happening, but when you compare the chart for compound interest, this is exponential growth in green. That's the green portion. That is exponential growth due to the compounding effect that happens there. So so the interest charge on the simple interest is for the principal amount, whereas for compounding interest, the interest is for the principal and the accumulated interest. Now, that's a very an interesting concept. If you are, like Einstein says, if you are the borrower, you are doomed, right? Because if you don't understand the compounding effect, you end up paying it. Whereas if you are the investor, therefore you earning that interest. That's the big difference. Now, there's one thing that's often misunderstood by investors. The amateur investors or beginners, people in any investment vehicle, they tend to focus on the interest rate only. They would go like, oh, what's the interest rate on that loan? What's the interest rate? So the interest rate may not be dramatically big, but if you lose sight that any investment has to factor in the time portion, therefore you're missing the point, right? So any investment takes time to build. The compounding effect, to take its full effect, you have to see it over a period of time, whether it's a few weeks, whether it's expressed in months or years, but you have to consider the period of time. You cannot just focus your energy, your analysis over a couple of periods. You will not find the full compounding effect if you just focus like on a 1 month period or a couple of weeks period. You gotta have to look at a longer period of time. Maybe if it's a 6 months or a yearly period of time, that's when you can really appreciate the full compounding effect. Now, let's look at you know, there is a compounding chart which I would like to show you. This is fun. It's developed by Napkin Finance. These are stuff, again, I don't take any credit for this chart. I didn't design it. It's part of the Napkin Finance. So this shows basically the idea of what we say. So the little guy here, that's Albert Einstein. It says the most powerful force in the universe is compound interest. This you know, builds on what we said earlier on about what Mr. Einstein said. So the idea is reinvesting your earnings. So once you earn those interests, to gain the full effect of the compounding, you gotta have to reinvest those interests. That's when the long-term perspective comes in. You gotta have to reinvest it. The money you earn from the initial investment has to be reinvested. Now, when you reinvest, you earn again. So we're looking at here, you have more dollars there. You invest your money, you earn some interest. You can see you have a few, you know, 3 bills over there. You reinvest it again with the institution you use for the investment, and you earn more. Now you have double the amount. It's funny because we have now 6 bills. that brings to me the idea of when does your money double. And for people who have a background in finance, that's the rule of 72. How does your money, when does your money double? I'll tell you just about that in a minute, because we want to focus on a vehicle, which is Novatech. I mean, people have all different type of vehicles they look at, they utilize. We are Novatech people. We build with Novatech. We build wealth. We are trying to make it different. We're trying to level the ground. We are trying to make the world a better place, give everybody an opportunity. Even if you don't come from money, you're not born with a silver spoon. Novatech levels the ground. It gives you an opportunity to come and change your fate, right? So we're looking at it from that perspective. So you see here, you move from 3 bills to 6 bills, which brings out the concept of doubling your income. And at some point, as you continue to compound your interest, your principal, your investment amount will double, or your trading balance, if you're a Novatech person, it will double at some point. And that's the rule of 72. And I'll tell you just about with Novatech, the doubling effect happens in about 5 to 6 months. Around there, I'll show you, actually, I'll back it up with figures if you want. And then you reinvest again. So it's an ongoing cycle, depending on what your desired period of time is, what are your goals, and etc. So let's look at something fun, right? So I just told you earlier on about the rule of 72, how much you invest and when can you expect that your money would double. There's a simple formula for that. This is taught on finance. Any person who's been in any business schools, you can even actually Google it. It's not magic. You'll find that there's a rule of thumb to find if you're using an investment vehicle. You just have to figure out what is your annual interest. If you can figure out what's your annual interest, simply take the number 72, divide by the annual interest. It will give you some indication on how long, given that investment and that interest rate, how long would it take for your money to double. And we have more information coming up on this Novatech explanations of what we do and how we do it. Now, let me show you something cool. There is a website called the calculator site. Okay. I'll bring up my Google. Let's say the calculator site. There it is. I can see there it is. The calculator site, right? So let's just bring all right, so let's pull the compound interest. Okay, and I'll still use the calculator sites to pull simple interest as well, right? So simple interest calculator. All right, and perfect. So we have the simple interest calculator. Let's use a basic scenario. A basic scenario where you have $1,000. All right, you investing it monthly, because this calculator doesn't give us a weekly, and I'm talking in the context of Novatech once again. And for anyone with Novatech, we know that we are investing, we get payout every week, and our payout average about 2 to 4% every week. So let's use 3% every week. So on average, you earn about 12%. We know that there are 4.33333 weeks in every month. Yes, guys, it's not actually 4 weeks, it's 4.3 weeks every month. So if you earning an average of about 3% each week, we're looking about slightly over 12% monthly, right? So let's be conservative. Let's use 12% as your monthly earnings, right? So because this calculator only allows us to do 12%, right? So 12% monthly. So this is simple interest. You're not building your interest on the capital, right? We're just investing simply. And we're looking at investing it over 1 year, right? So let's see how much money one could make using this simple explanation or this simple calculator, right? This is simple interest, once again, to establish the difference between compounding and simple interest. Now, once you do that, it will bring this chart. It will show you, oh, your money, basically you investing it a month per month. And as a result of that, at the end of the year, you earn an interest of 1,440 at the end of the first year. Even with simple interest, with monthly capitalization at 12%, this is based on 3% weekly, right? You can earn 1,440 at the end of the year. Now, if you add your original balance of $1,000, that brings the final amount to 2,440 at the end of the year. Still some pretty decent amount. I mean, it's a decent investment, decent earning. I mean, there's no bank today that will give you anything close to that. So it's good to have some additional money using a simple interest, but there's better than that. They gotta be better than that. And that's why we're talking about compounding. Now let's look at what compounding will do if we use that system, right? So let's use the same example. $1,000 invested today. We're investing at 3% on average every week, compounding weekly, right? And we're looking at investing over 1 year, same scenario, but just using different compounding system. We're using the compounding interest now, right? So we're not adding any additional money, which is a very simple calc. If you apply that calculate, this is what you get. So remember, initially you invested $1,000 at 12% monthly at using a simple interest. At the end of the year, you had 1,440 in interest. If we use the compounding interest weekly at 3%, at the end of the year, that $1,000 gives you $3,334 in interest. So if you add your original investment of $1,000, your final future investment value is $4,334. Let me give you some empirical example, right? So I'll bring this calculator. Now, the calculator site is used in the financial industry. The insurance industry uses it. The banking industry uses it. All sort of people, the mortgage industry uses it. Now, I have a different calculator, which it's a spreadsheet base, which I developed myself. Anyone can do this. And I just want to issue a disclaimer with respect to this spreadsheet, as much as also for the calculator site, because I want people to be very clear. These are illustrations for educational purposes, right? This calculator is not part of Novatech, nor is it endorsed by the company. Past performance is not indicative of future earnings and should not be construed in any way as a guaranteed investment. The earnings shown here are examples of potential profit and should be used for educational purposes only. There you have it. All right. Now, I'm going to show you quickly. Here on column D, I'm showing all the interest rate we've received from Novatech from October of 2020. You can see I moved from line 8 to line 76 because for every single week since October 2020, there is an interest rate that Novatech paid. Novatech never misses a week, never missed a payment. We receive a payment every week. And that's why we're passionate and talk about this to everyone. Whoever will listen, hey, listen up. Novatech never missed a payment. Every week there is one payment. Okay. Now, depending on the market performance, the interest that we receive varies. I gave you an example where we say it varies between 2 to 4%. On average, we receive 3%. On this example here, I'm showing you the empirical data. For the sake of clarity and to summarize, I'm only showing here from January 7th through to this past weekend. Okay, we get paid every Friday based on the trading performance. You can also find this information in your back office. If you get in your back office, you look under performance report, you find all the interest rate. They are there, they are published. anyone can make use of them. All right. So now once you use basic Excel average calculator, summing up and averaging the weekly interest we receive, you would find that on average we're earning 3.23% weekly. All right. So this would translate to 13.99% every month. Remember, in the example I used on the calculator site, I used 12%. Actually, is 3.23%. That's the average we're earning. All right. And then if you annualize that, that's $167% annually. Right. Now, there is effective market volatility. That's not a topic for our discussion today. I talked to you about the rule of 72, which tells you about when would your money double. Now, based on this basic information, if we took 72 divided by the annual interest rate, which is 167%, we found that it's 0.43. So 43% of a 12-month period is between about 5 months, around 5 months. 5 months from when you began investing, that's when you can see the doubling effect of your income. Let's verify that. Let's use the same example. You're investing $1,000 at 2.23%. And let's say you begin this week. Today is the 2nd. I mean, it's a little bit off by a week, but it doesn't matter. It can still serve our purpose. Or for the perfectionist, we could actually say equal J5 here, just so we're accurate, because tomorrow is Friday. That's when we get a payout. So if you invested your $1,000 today or tomorrow, all right, this is your first month, right? So at the end of this month, that's month number 1, we're looking at 3.32%. This capital will earn you about $32 every week, which you're compounding weekly. That first week you earn $135. Now remember, Novatech would take $25 for the privilege of using this platform. Isn't that beautiful? $25, that's fixed amount. It doesn't matter how much you invest, as long as your capital is below $25,000. If your capital exceeds $25,000, even better, Novatech stops taking the monthly service fee. Where have you seen that? I am 2 years in. I am super excited for the benefit. This has been transformative for my life, for my family. I'm grateful for Novatech. Right. Now, 1 month, next month will be, so this is June 3rd, we're in June. So July, August, September, October, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sure enough, towards the end of the 5th month in November, you have $2,027. The rule of 72, your money doubled there. Now, I don't want to be crazy. I don't want it to be seen to be crazy, although sometimes I recognize I am crazy in some respect, But what would stop you from investigating this option? Could this be the vehicle you've always been looking for? Could this be the life-changing experience you've been looking for? What would stop you? A simple investment of $1,000 compounding weekly at 3% on average. After 12 months period, early June, you're looking at over $4,000. Can your bank give you that rate? Can they really? I challenge you to check this out. This has been a life-changing experience for thousands of people around the world. Check the internet, go anywhere you want. None of us has ever missed a payment. We get paid weekly because this is a legitimate business opportunity. It's based off trading. Yes, that's unconventional for many people because you're used to getting your paycheck. I used to be like that too. You know, depending on your salary, there's nothing wrong with it. Just that you can never make a decent living. It doesn't, I don't care if you're a director, you're an AVP, you're still an employee. You tax at the highest bracket possible because you are the employee. Some people would say, oh, I have a stock option with my job. That's okay. You're still an employee. This vehicle is giving people around the world not only the money, but the freedom to enjoy their money, the time. It's allowing you and I to buy back the time. What would it take for you to check it out? Now, this is it for me today. If you have questions, do not hesitate to contact us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, right? Or you can look at our Instagram handle, Empire Building Network, or look us up on Facebook, Empire Building Network. We are doing this and we're excited to share the opportunity. Once again, I want to thank you and God bless.